What are rich people doing to increase their wealth during the next recession? Stay with me. Millionaires are made during recession. I know it seems counterintuitive, but a lot of fortunes are made during recessions. I work with a lot of very wealthy people and I see exactly how they move during periods of recession or during periods of downturns in the market. I wanted to share them with you because some of them are really important. And you never know, the next recessionary period in the economy may be your opportunity to make it big. First thing is that they buy assets at a discount. During periods of recession or prolonged market downturns, for people who have a change of fortune or maybe didn't exactly plan things correctly, they often have to sell assets, and that may be in the form of businesses or in real estate. Well, guess who's there to swoop up those assets? Often other wealthy people. So starting a small business during recession can actually be the best time to start a business, and wealthy people see opportunities in people who may have fallen on misfortune and need to liquidate their assets very quickly. So if you're looking potentially to start a business in the next few years, or you're looking for real estate, doing it during the time of recession may actually be a good thing and an opportunity for you. The next thing, we talk about something in financial advising, wealth management, and we talk about keeping powder dry. And keeping powder dry is basically keeping cash or cash equivalents on the side. During periods of market volatility or during periods of recession, we can access that cash to be able to go out and to buy assets. Now, it does require some planning. Most Americans don't even have $1,000 in their savings account. But if we go into recession and you're one of the fortunate people that has tens of thousands or even hundreds of thousands of dollars in savings, it gives you an opportunity to maneuver. Oftentimes, wealthy people have millions of dollars in cash equivalents that may be in treasuries, money markets, CDs, something like that, that they can relatively rapidly access in order to take advantage of opportunity on short notice during periods of market decline or during periods of recession. The good news is that you don't have to have millions of dollars to have powder dry. You can have a few tens of thousands of dollars to have powder dry. Now, I do want to say this is not their emergency fund. Your emergency fund is not keeping powder dry. Your emergency fund is something else entirely. But this is money that is cash equivalent or able to turn into cash within 48 or 72 hours that you can access relatively quickly and that you can utilize to participate in various market opportunities. Anytime you see a sharp stock market decline, you'll see hundreds of millions of dollars on the back end going into the stock market. And this is from people who have kept their powder dry, who are waiting for an opportunity to deploy more cash into investments. So one thing that I notice wealthy people do, and entrepreneurs especially do, is they start businesses during recession. Many of our largest businesses were actually started during periods of recession. And they are often bold where other people are fearful. Now, I do exercise caution here, especially my entrepreneurial clients or clients who made their fortunes through entrepreneurship. They often have a different risk assessment than the average person, but some of the largest businesses in America were started during recession and were quite successful. Starting a business is as much skill as it is luck and timing, and sometimes the timing is just right where you can do all the legwork and all the preliminary work of starting a business in order to catch the economic upturn that often happens after recession. So what business do you want to start, or do you want to start a business? Can you start that business during a recession? Are you willing to take the risk of being bold where other people are being fearful? It can pay off in a big way starting a business during a recession. One thing I notice about wealthy people is they often remain very calm, very strategic, and they often remain optimistic. Now, that doesn't mean that they're being unrealistic about what's going on around them, but during 2008, 2009, and during the pandemic, and during 2022, markets took a tumble, a serious downturn, but people saw that there was another side to this. They knew that eventually we would heal from the 2008-2009 recession. Eventually the pandemic would be over, and eventually the stock and the bond market will correct in 2022. So there was optimism on the other side that conditions would remain favorable in the United States and in the world, so that their investment and their capital could continue working for them. So with that optimism and with that enthusiasm, it allowed them clarity to plan out their next steps. They're often very calm and very strategic. They don't get caught up in the hype. They do read, they do pay attention, they'll watch the news, they'll watch other media sources, but they don't let it override their better judgment, and they don't buy into the hype. They often rely on professional advice from advisors, from CPAs, from estate planning, from business law specialists in formulating what their strategy will be. So they're able to incorporate new information into their paradigm without being overwhelmed by fear and by uncertainty. One thing I tell people, especially my clients, is during moments of market downturn or recession, be careful what you watch in media and be careful what you watch in news, because there's a lot of information out there. Much of it is not directly applicable to you or your situation, and it can push you towards making some very unwise decisions that can seriously deplete your wealth. So in a recession, be very careful what news and media searches you are watching and what sources you are plugged into. If you have to unplug for a while, unplug for a while. If you need expert advice, be willing to go out and seek and pay for expert advice. So wealthy people, especially during periods of recession and during periods of market downturns, they can smell an opportunity and they're willing to negotiate on everything. And most things in our society are negotiable, especially things like real estate, businesses, and assets that are income producing. And they will take that and they will go out and find opportunities and be able to negotiate. Remember, they also have cash, and during periods of market recession or downturn, cash is king. So sometimes they can negotiate based on the fact that they have access to a lot of cash or a lot of capital to push that deal through. Recessions and periods of market downturn often build a lot of desperation into the economy. So you have people who are selling assets at a discount, whether it's a home, a business, or some other form of assets. And rich people know that they can go in and scoop up those assets and negotiate a good deal on the price of those assets. So if we're going into recession, or you believe we are going into recession, could be a good opportunity to brush up on those negotiation skills, to take a look at your cash or access to cash, and keep your powder dry outside of your savings and living expenses. Figure out if you want to start a business or purchase a business, and see what assets potentially you can buy during the next recession that can generate you income and that will be profitable long after the recession is over and the memory of the recession is gone. So there you have it. As a financial advisor, a few things that wealthy people do during recession that puts them out on top. If you found this information useful, please like, please share, and please subscribe. Thank you.